Welcome to part one of How and Why I Engage, Enhancing Your Success, a learning series brought to you by the Alameda County Training and Education Center. My name is Ruth Kim, Senior Trainer and Consultant, and I'm happy to be your facilitator for this e-learning. The purpose of this training is to explore what you can do to build up your personal and professional capacity so that your genuinely best self can show up at work. And you produce the best work you can at your job, for your team and your supervisor, for the mission, community, and clients of Alameda County. The series is organized into two sessions. Part one, which is this session, focuses on why I engage. Part two will focus on how I engage. These sessions are meant to be interactive and engage you in your learning. In order to successfully participate, you'll need these items. The iEngage workbook, preferably printed so that you can do all the exercises in this training. And each activity is numbered. I'll refer to each of the numbers so that you can easily follow along. And something to write with. But if you're not able to or prefer not to print the workbook, you can use a notepad or a journal so that you can still follow along and participate in the activities. These are the objectives we're aiming to meet in this series. We'll address what is iEngage. So basically we'll define iEngage, explore what it looks like specifically for you through some self-assessments. We'll cover why iEngage. Mainly it's about health, happiness, and success, but we'll also talk about the importance of purpose, having a sense of purpose in our work and with others. These two items are the focus of part one, or this session of a series, Why I Engage. Then in part two, we'll look at how I engage, focusing on relationships, growth, and impact as key areas of iEngage. We'll also practice and apply iEngage tools and strategies. I'll walk you through some activities throughout this e-learning. In part two, or how iEngage, we'll introduce several different tools and models we'll apply in practice. Ready to begin? Let's start with an opening activity, which is numbered 1.1 in your workbook. The idea is to get you started thinking about your own engagement at work. Answer the following prompt. What is one thing you currently do at work that truly motivates you? What's one thing you do where you find yourself most engaged? What are you most excited about? Where the best version of you can come through? You're present, engaged, energy's outward, open, positive. Maybe you enjoy the customer service part of your work and like helping clients the most. Or maybe you're a data person and at your best when you're working with numbers. Maybe you like problem solving and working through challenges with your system or procedures. Or maybe you like leading others on your team, inspiring and motivating them in their performance and development. Feel free to stop this video at any time if you'd like more time to record your response. So there are a number of things at work that can truly motivate us. Hopefully you have more than one thing that motivates you in your work. Whatever your response is, management expert and author Daniel Pink talks about 3 things that truly motivate us at work in his book called Drive, and they're autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy is about our sense of independence and the freedom to use our own discretion and judgment in our work performance. Mastery is about possessing the competency and expertise to produce high-quality work. And purpose reflects an intended or desired result that embodies a beyond the self aspiration and goal. It's about the greater good and a larger purpose beyond ourselves. Did your response fit any of these categories? Autonomy, mastery, or purpose? I'm going to break down the definition of IEngage, starting with just the first part, and I'll reveal the full definition in a moment. IEngage is a holistic, from the ground up approach to employee engagement. But what is employee engagement? Is it I show up to work on time, I do what it says in my job description or what my boss says, or I'm pleasant with people, our clients, and the people I work with? Is this all there is to employee engagement? Well, from your supervisor's perspective, employee engagement is the overlap between what the organization needs, what you're good at, and what you love to do. So do you think you're there right now? Always? On good days? Does it depend on the kind of assignments you're working on or who you're working with? In section 1.2 of your workbook on the right-hand side, you'll see these multiple possibilities with the 3 circles. Check which one best describes your current engagement at work. First one is there's no overlap. You're not doing anything you like to do, and you're not really sure you're good at what you're asked to do. The next one, there's minimal overlap, and there's no intersection of all 3. You're doing just a few things that you like to do, and a lot of your skills aren't being utilized. The third one, you like a good amount of what you do, and you're developing some good skill sets. Fourth one, you really enjoy a lot of what you do, and you are really good at what you do. And the last one, you're basically in heaven. Your interests and skills are pretty much a perfect match for your position. In your workbook at the bottom of page 1, identify 1 or 2 things you can change to help you increase the intersection. In other words, what can you do to enhance your engagement by increasing any or all of the 3 areas related to one particular thing you do at work? One example might be to take advantage of training, to improve your skills, and increase what you're good at. Again, feel free to pause this video if you need more time for your response. So thanks for engaging with this model. Now that we've worked with it, let's critique it, because we are not just the worker who shows up for the job. We are so much more than our jobs. This is the full IEngage model, which can be found on page 2 in your workbook. These reflect most all of the factors that can affect our engagement and motivation, depending on our quality of life in each area. The right-hand side includes work factors that affect our engagement, and the left-hand side includes personal factors outside of work that can affect our engagement at work. These other areas of life on the left-hand side of the wheel generally need to be taken care of in order to deliver your best performance at work, like your personal relationships, kids and family, friends, or your finances, bills, rent, or mortgage payments, your health and well-being, your involvement in community, and your current ability and choices in leisure, like hobbies or travel. If these are all taken care of, like our kids and family are perfect, no stress about finances, perfect bill of health, chances are we can be more engaged at work than if these weren't going so well. But life does happen in ways that can affect engagement, such as if you're going through a divorce or have just lost a loved one, or any other curveball that life throws at us, like this pandemic and how it can really challenge us. This model shows how IEngage is really the better half of employee engagement, especially compared to the previous model from an organizational perspective with the 3 concentric circles. It gives us a more honest and holistic picture of what our engagement looks like. So in your workbook on page 2, put a star next to the ones on the work side, the right-hand side, that you experience at work and contribute positively to your engagement, the ones that are going well for you. For example, for me, I walk to work every day outside of this shelter-in-place order along beautiful Lake Merritt, and so I put a star next to work location. I also love the relationships I build in the classroom and in my everyday work, so I also starred work relationships. And then put a star next to the ones on the personal life side, so the left-hand side, that contribute positively to your engagement, the ones that are going well for you. So for example, for me, I starred wellness and health and well-being, because I try to stay intentional about my self-care, from what I eat to getting enough sleep to exercise. I also starred personal relationships as an area where I appreciate having quality connections, friendships, and mutual support. We'll come back to this diagram at the end of our series. For now, keep this visual in mind and in the background as we work to further explore what IEngage looks like for you. The last point I want to make about the IEngage visual is, when you do have much of all of this taken care of, engaged employees stand out above and beyond the rest of the crowd of employees. Which brings us to the rest of our definition of IEngage. IEngage is a holistic, from the ground up approach to employee engagement. Engaged employees have a heightened commitment to their work, peers, and mission. They find personal meaning and purpose in what they do. And engaged employees also embrace a growth mindset to deliver excellence by discovering the best version of themselves. So IEngage is about your sustained influence, effectiveness, and excellence all around at work. It's interesting to note, Gallup data shows only 13 to 19% on average are highly engaged. 32% are not engaged. That's almost a third of your team sinking your boat. And our engagement is not all completely us. There are organizational features that make it much better and easier to be engaged as an employee. But it is mostly us, no matter what our environment is. And we want to focus on what we can control, what is in our control. And what we can control is our response to any situation and people in our work environment. So there's a direct connection between your engagement and your success. And there's multiple ways of viewing how we achieve success. The first way is this way: hard work leads to success. And when we achieve success, we will have found our happiness and passion. Have you heard of this way of thinking about success before? Do you agree? What's your way about thinking about success? Is it the same or different? On page 3, section 1.4, there's space to write in your way of seeing the pathway to success. And this is the IEngage way. You start with happiness and passion, which inspires hard work. And whether you realize it or not, you will have found success. So why is happiness important? Why should it be our starting point? Well, overall, there are health benefits of happiness. Our state of mind equals our state of body. A healthy, happy state of mind can reduce the chances of developing heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and depression. Happiness is also tied to work performance. We can perform better at work when we are generally happy. Yet, outstanding work performance should be a means, not an end in itself. Think about it. We spend on average a third of our entire lives at work. You want the quality of your work life, that 1/3 of your life, to be spent well. And your job and career offer abundant opportunities to learn and grow to be your best self and to achieve your goals and potential. This has a lot to do with your mindset, which we'll address in part 2 when we cover the how of IEngage, specifically the how IEngage area of growth. And all the research in positive psychology supports the payoff of starting from happiness. Sean Aker, who's a Harvard researcher, studied outliers. So rather than studying abnormality, which the field of psychology and psychological research has traditionally often done, he looked at the outliers, those who were achieving success far and above the rest. So these were individuals who found success not just in their professional lives, but in their personal lives, like with family, marriage, relationships, financial success, and success in their community, and with health and wellness. And he looked at a data set that was global across industry and profession. And what he found was it's not about taking your whole lifetime to discover your success and happiness will follow. He found the opposite to be true. Individuals who were outliers in this success were able to find their happiness in the moment. Their happiness explains how they found their success. And so all of these reasons taken together is why happiness is important, and they reflect the why of IEngage, building from the idea and model that our engagement has to start with happiness. Let's do a happiness activity called Right Here, Right Now, and this is section 1.5 in your workbook. Jot down some notes in response to these prompts, and it's best to go with your first idea or two that comes to your mind. First prompt is, what's bringing you joy right here, right now? What lessons are you learning right here, right now? What do you love about yourself right here, right now? And what strides are you making right here, right now to accomplish your goals? I'll give you a chance to pause this video to record your responses. I hope you enjoyed these prompts. I think they can help you get in touch with the present moment through gratitude, which is often easy to overlook in our everyday busy work life. And so happiness is about getting in touch with gratitude and being fully present in the moment. So happiness and passion are important resources for success. Daniel Pink identified purpose as one of the main drivers of engagement and success. What is purpose? Could be an aim, goal, or intention. Purpose really answers the why. What is the true significance and reason we do what we do? We want our why to inspire us as a solid and sustainable source of motivation. Purpose is also about self-transcendence, beyond the self, the greater good. And it can really help us overcome fear and enhance our performance. Another way of viewing purpose is the intersection of that which you love, that which you're good at, that which the world needs, and that which you can be paid for. In your workbook on page 4, section 1.6, on the blue lines, write down 2 activities that apply to you in each area, work-related or otherwise, like a personal passion, hobby, or skill set. For example, I have writing, curriculum design, and training in multiple areas. And it worked out that they overlapped, but training was in all 4 areas. See if you can identify any activities that fit 2, 3, or 4 of these areas of purpose. It is interesting to note the research which reports that people with a purpose mindset are 52% more likely to be fulfilled in their work. And this research comes from the work of Imperative. It's a company that focuses on employee fulfillment. So at the bottom of page 4 in your workbook, you'll find an engagement self-assessment. Now that we've covered some background to iEngage, defining what it is and why it's important, we're going to turn to a brief baseline assessment. Answer the 12 items using a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest and 1 the lowest rating of your engagement. And then go ahead and add up your score. And you'll find your score interpretation to the right. And go ahead and pause. You can pause the video for as long as you need to complete this assessment. So how was this assessment? Any surprises? Take note of where you scored highest. In what area are you most engaged? And then note where you come up pretty low and identify one thing you can do to boost your engagement in your lowest area. Engagement is more closely related to intrinsic rather than extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is when you're motivated because there's a reward involved, or we want to avoid a punishment. Intrinsic motivation is when doing something is personally rewarding. You're driven internally. At the top of page 5, section 1.8, you'll find another assessment based on 7 key motivators. Each of us is motivated by different sources. If you're motivated by achievement, you enjoy the satisfaction of accomplishing projects successfully and exercising your talent to attain success. You're basically self-motivated if the job is challenging enough. If you're motivated by being an authority, you get satisfaction from influencing and sometimes even controlling others. Authority-driven people like to lead and persuade and are motivated by positions of power and leadership. Affiliation as a motivator is about your affiliation with others. If you're motivated by affiliation, you enjoy people and find the social aspect of the workplace rewarding. If you're motivated by autonomy, you want freedom and independence. You like to work and take responsibility for your own tasks and projects. And if you're motivated by esteem, you need sincere recognition and praise. You generally dislike generalities and prefer praise of specific accomplishments, but this doesn't necessarily mean public praise. And if you're motivated by safety and security, you probably crave job security, a steady income, health insurance, and other fringe benefits, and probably a hazard-free work environment. If you're motivated by equity, you want to be treated fairly. You might compare work hours, job duties, salary, and privileges to those of other employees. So you will become discouraged if you perceive inequities. So rank 1 through 7 on the left-hand side of section 1.8 in the order of importance of each of these to you, number 1 being your top motivator. Go ahead and stop this video to record your responses. The section on the right is a reflective exercise to identify how specifically you exemplify your top 1 to 2 motivators. Go ahead and jot notes for yourself. For example, affiliation is my top motivator. I do this by creating learning experiences that are hopefully meaningful and impactful, and so I do appreciate the space to design and prepare training. At the bottom left of page 5 in your workbook, section 1.9, this diagram is about whether or not you're in the zone. The diagram is based on 2 axes. the level of challenge in your work, and the level of skill development that's required. The zone where you want to be is the area in the middle, ideally moving towards the top right area of the inverted triangle. Basically, you want your skills and your skill development to match the level of challenge. Otherwise, if your skills don't meet the challenge, you could be experiencing disproportionate stress and anxiety. Or on the flip side, if you're not being challenged to utilize your skills, you're probably experiencing boredom. So mark an X where you identify yourself in relation to being in the zone. And then identify 1 to 2 specific ways you can move into the zone or upwards. Maybe committing to taking more training, or talking with your supervisor about stretch assignments based on your interest to promote in your career. And then at the bottom right of page 5, section 1.10, section 1.10, for each block, mark an X where you locate yourself in relation to the feeling statement as it applies to you at work. The top ones are emotional states, are positive emotional states, and the bottom ones are negative emotional states. Ideally, you want to be high on the top ones and low on the bottom ones. So go ahead and pause the video to give you time to identify your emotional state in relation to each statement. Now identify a couple ways you can maximize the positive or minimize the negative emotions. For example, self-care, shrink my inner critic, assert my interest, don't take things personally. The key learning of this is that emotions, they are important even at work because they shape the quality of your experiences. You want to exercise emotional intelligence, especially self-awareness and management. In leadership, emotional intelligence is at least twice as important as IQ, or traditional cognitive intelligence. And emotional intelligence accounts for nearly 90% of what moves people higher up in their organizations. This concludes part 1 of How and Why I Engage, Enhancing Your Success. In part 2, we'll take a look at how I engage. Thank you so much for participating and learning with me.